Preemptive and non-preemptive scheduling. CPU scheduler selects a process from the ready queue and allocates it to CPU. So CPU scheduler is a part of the operating system that selects a process from the ready queue. Ready queue is a queue of all the processes that are residing in the memory, and these processes are ready for execution. So scheduler will select a process from the ready queue and it will allocate this processor. CPU scheduling decision may take place when a process makes following transitions. The first transition is when a process switches from running state to the waiting state. So whenever a process will make a transition from running state to waiting state, CPU scheduler will select another process for execution. The second scheduling decision might take place when a process switches from running to ready state. So whenever there is a transition from running to ready state, again, scheduling decision may take place. And the third choice is when there is a transition from waiting state to ready state. And finally, when a process terminates, there might be a scheduling decision that we need to take. This figure shows the process state transition that might occur in the system. A process may be in the ready state. A process in the ready state is ready for execution. It is in the main memory and it is ready for the execution. Another state is the running state. This is the state when process is being executed by the processor. And finish state, this is the state when process terminates its execution. And wait state is the state when process is waiting for some IO request, for the completion of some IO request. So as we can see from this figure, during its life cycle, a process may progress from one state to the other state, and so on from that state to another state. Like a process may be in the ready state, and when a process is in ready state, a scheduler will select the process and will allocate CPU to this process. So there will be a state transition from ready to running state. So in this state, process will keep running until either it completes its execution. In that case, it will go to the finish state where it completes its execution and it exits from the system. The second case is that when process is under execution, it might issue some IO request. And if it issues some IO request, it will move to the waiting state. In waiting state, process will be waiting for the completion of the IO request. As soon as the IO request has been completed by that particular IO device, process will progress from waiting state back to the ready state. For situations 1 and 4, that is, situation 1 is when a process will move from running state to the waiting state. That is, the process has moved from this running state to this waiting state because the process has issued some IO request. And the situation 4 is when process terminates. This means when process is in execution and after this or during this execution, it issues a request to terminate its execution, it will progress to the finished state. So under these two situations, there is no choice in terms of scheduling. This means whenever there is situation 1 or situation 4, CPU scheduler will select a new process if one exists in the ready queue. So a new process will be selected for the execution because under situation 1, process has moved from running state to the waiting state. So CPU is idle because the process that it was running that has been blocked, that has been moved to the waiting state. So CPU is free. Hence, CPU can be allocated to some new process. And similarly, under situation 4, when the process was running and it completes its execution, again CPU will become free. So the scheduler must select a new process from the ready queue to allocate on this CPU. For situation 2 and 3, under these two situations, situation 2 is that when process makes progress from running to the ready state. A process will make progress from running to the ready state whenever there is an interrupt. So when an interrupt occurs, process execution will be suspended and it will be moved back to the ready state. And situation 3 is when a process switches from waiting state to the ready state. So the process that was waiting for the completion of some IO request, that IO request has been completed. So process will make progress from waiting state to the ready state. So under these two situations, situation 2 and situation 3, scheduler must make a choice that either it has to run this process or it has to run a new process from the ready queue. So when a process switches from running to the waiting state or from running to the finished state or terminate state, then the scheduling scheme is called non-preemptive. So under these two situations, when there is a transition from running to the waiting state or when a process terminates, under these two situations, scheduling scheme is known as non-preemptive. Under non-preemptive scheduling, once the CPU has been allocated to a process, the process keeps the CPU until it releases it itself. This means in non-preemptive scheduling, once the CPU has been allocated to a process, process will keep running on this processor until either it moves from running to the waiting state or it terminates. In other words, we can also say that a process will release the CPU by its own choice. It cannot be interrupted during its execution. When there is a state transition from running to ready state or from waiting to ready state, then scheduling is known as preemptive. So preemptive scheduling occurs under these two situations, that when a process moves from running to the ready state. A process will move from running to the ready state whenever an interrupt occurs or whenever some event occurs. And the second situation is when process moves from waiting state to the ready state. So under these two states, Under these two state transitions, the scheduling is known as preemptive scheduling. In preemptive scheduling, CPU can be taken away from the process while it is executing. So, if a process is in execution, the CPU can be taken back from this process because some high priority process might have arrived and we need to allocate processor to this new high priority process. So in preemptive scheduling, CPU can be taken back from a process, whereas in non-preemptive scheduling, CPU cannot be taken back from a process until the process itself wishes to do so. Preemptive scheduling is not free from problems. Preemptive scheduling can result in race conditions. Race conditions occur when data are shared among several processes. So if there is some data that is being shared by several processes, then preemptive scheduling can result into race conditions. For example, if there are two processes that are sharing the data, while one process is updating the data and there is one process that is updating this data, and during its execution, when it is updating the data, it is preempted. Preempted means that the process is interrupted while it was updating the data. And because process is interrupted and we have taken back the CPU from this process so that the second process could run. So we have taken back CPU from this process which was updating the data. And when the second process tries to read this data, which are in an inconsistent state, because the previous process was updating the data when we interrupted this process and we have taken the CPU back from that process forcefully. So the data may be in inconsistent state, and the second process, when it tries to read that data, it may read inconsistent value or invalid value. So synchronization schemes must be ensured when using preemptive scheduling schemes.